Before we get into the latest news in the UDFA tracker in today's show, make sure you guys are subscribed to New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. We're going to continue to cover the NBA offseason for the Knicks. We were live for the NBA draft yesterday for almost 7 hours, and we're going to be live for NBA free agency day 1, day 2, and day 3 at a minimum. So if you're looking for a one-stop shop for all things New York Knicks on YouTube this summer, go down right now, hit that big red sub button. Welcome into Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. I appreciate everybody that has stopped by and taken time out of their busy Friday or Saturday to spend some time with us here on Knicks Now to break down what's happening around the orange and blue. The NBA draft was yesterday, and the Knicks did not make a move. They did not trade up in the first round after there was rumors that they could move on from Obi Toppin or Evan Fournier. They didn't even buy a pick in that second round, but they did immediately sign two undrafted free agents to two-way contracts. And since they signed two players to two-way contracts, the players of Duane Washington and Trevor Keels, who were on those two-way deals last year, the Knicks are going to have to make a decision on those guys. We'll talk about those two fellas at the end of the show, but let's start with Jacob Toppin, the biggest surprise, really, I would say, of draft night for the New York Knicks. Toppin, the younger brother of Obi Toppin, so Jacob's the old bro, Obi's the big bro. Played for Kentucky this past year. Did play his freshman season at Rhode Island, last 3 years at Kentucky. And you really saw him take that step this year for the Wildcats. Wasn't getting a whole lot of minutes before this year, but his last year at Kentucky, he finally started to flash the things that a lot of people thought he possessed. And he is a great athlete, just like his older brother, Obi Toppin, but they're much different players. In my opinion, he makes a lot of winning plays. He cuts backdoor. He's a good defender, but overall still a raw prospect. Not a good three-point shooter, not really that refined of an offensive game, but he does the little things. He's a guy that can flash from the corner. He can set screens, chase down blocks, alley-oops. He's extremely athletic, and you see in the stats, after his junior year at Kentucky where he was playing just 17 minutes per game, he got almost 32 minutes per game this past year with the Wildcats, giving you 12.4 points per game, 6.8 rebounds. Overall, an efficient player from the deck, just can't hit the outside shot and doesn't really shoot it all that much, sometimes not even one shot from deep per night. And this is an interesting move for the New York Knicks, not only because Obi and Jacob are brothers, but it's just interesting timing, right? There's a lot of smoke around Obi Toppin. I mean, there was a leak from the locker room on the way into the tunnel in Miami in game form of the playoffs where Obi was cussing out Tom Thibodeau. There seems to be some emotion between those two sides. Ian Begley of SNY reported that the Knicks and Toppin could work together to get a deal done if a role doesn't become bigger for Obi this year. So now you bring his younger brother in, and he is a CAA client. So it continues to go on. Last night we talked about how Zach LaVine's camp, not Zach LaVine, but Zach LaVine's camp doesn't want to deal with the New York Knicks because his camp is Clutch Sports. And now you're bringing another CAA player, and another CAA player you're interested in is Paul George. So if you're rep by CAA, the Knicks are going to be interested, of course. I think Jacob Toppin is more of a Tom Thibodeau guy than Obi Toppin is, whereas Obi is a really flashy player, likes to leak out, run three-point line to three-point line, catch alley-oops, throw down flashy dunks in the break. Jacob Toppin can't do that, but I would say he's a more winning basketball player. Not a better basketball player by any means, but the way he goes about doing his work on the floor, the dirty stuff, diving on the floor, going after the glass, extra effort on defense, a much better defender, and I think has better defensive instincts than his brother Obi. I just think he fits more of what a Tom Thibodeau guy and someone that he wants to play. We're going to break down the other UDFA that the Knicks have signed, but first, let's talk about NBA Summer League because I am excited. A lot of young Knicks that I think are going to play on there. Sounds like Jericho Sims will not. We'll get Trevor Keels out there. Maybe we get third-year Deuce McBride. But I am excited for the Knicks Summer League, and we may do some watch parties. Let's do this. If we get 2,000 likes on today's show, we'll do watch parties for the NBA Summer League for the Knicks. So hit that thumbs up icon if you want it. The second player that the New York Knicks signed after the NBA draft was Jaylen Martin, the forward from the Overtime Elite League. And that is such an interesting player pathway for these players to go about getting into the NBA. And he's got potential, man. He can get to the cup. He can rise up. He's an athletic freak. He's got highlights of throwing it down over the top of people. And he's got an NBA body, too. 6'6", 216 pounds, just 19 years old. So he's still going to develop into the type of player that he's going to be in the NBA. But he wasn't all that efficient for the Overtime Elite this past year. Actually, his team made it to the championship, ended up losing in that game, and he was really good in the conference finals. I'm going to pull up his stats right here as I had that marked earlier. In the conference semifinals for the OTE League, Jaylen Martin averaged 24.7 points per game, 9.3 rebounds, 43% from the field, 38% from downtown, and 68% from the free throw line. And he can knock down the three-pointer at that 38% clip on almost 10 points per game. Definitely his best 3 games of his Overtime Elite stretch. Young, raw, talented player, but going to have to do a lot to make it in the NBA. Still a work in progress. And it sounds like the Knicks are actually really interested in Mr. Martin. According to Ian Begley, he said that the Knicks were excited to get Jaylen Martin from Overtime Elite on a 2-way deal. He worked out for them in the pre-draft process. And before Overtime Elite, Martin played for former New York Knicks and 2-sport Florida State star Charlie Ward at Florida High. The Athletic was first on the Martin agreement. I mean, the Overtime Elite League is so fascinating because when you watch it, it kind of just looks like AAU basketball. It's definitely a talent gap between Division I hoops and really the Overtime Elite League. So I'm interested to see in the Summer League what type of game Martin is going to have. Is he going to be able to show those flashes that we've seen, the high-flying, shot-creating player, that he can do it in the Summer League? It's going to be really, really interesting. But I want to ask this question before we talk about Trevor Keels. Who are you most excited for? Is it Jacob Toppin? Is it Jaylen Martin? Toppin is a great finisher, really athletic. He's got a little bit of a mid-range game. You can do it off the dribble. Three-point shot, neat work. But I'm going to go with Toppin. I think he possesses the skills to be a rotational player in the league. But let me know. Type JT or JM down below. Begley also said this: with Martin and Toppin on 2-way contracts, the Knicks will have to make a decision on Trevor Keels and or Duane Washington. Both Keels and Washington Jr. on 2-way deals. Teams can carry 3 players on 2-way contracts next season. So I think I said they actually can carry 2 at the top of the show, but it is 3. So they're going to have to make a decision on Keels or Washington. And I'm hoping that they keep Trevor Keels, the second-round pick out of Duke last year. I think he was 17 years old, or right, just turned 18 years old when the Knicks selected him in the second round. And he played pretty good for the Westchester Knicks this past year. I don't want to spend too much time on G League stats, but you see that he's got some juice. 14.5 points per game, 3.5 assists, 3 rebounds, 42.5% from the deck, and 34.5% from downtown. And Summer League is going to be critical for Duane Washington and Trevor Keels, and I'm excited to see Keels, Martin, and Toppin play all together. The Summer League starts July 7th for the New York Knicks in Las Vegas. First game against the Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm going to look for Trevor Keels, a second-year player in the NBA, and after spending a full year pretty much with the Knicks and the Westchester Knicks, to really take on a lead role, to be a guy that could be a leader, lead that offense, create for himself, but also create for others. I think he's a guy that really needs to show as a second-year player that he's going to be someone that the Knicks can invest in and keep around for a while. I'm interested to see what Mr. Keels can do as the Las Vegas Summer League rolls around. Going to be interesting for the Knicks. I want to do this and show some love to some people right now because y'all were showing so much love last night on the watch party and the live stream for the NBA draft. So I want to do this for this. If you made it this far in the show today, I want you to type real one down below in the comment section. Every single person that types real one down below on our live show on Tuesday, I'm going to give you a shout out. So if you made it this far, let me know you did by typing real one down in the comment section. As always, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in to New York Knicks Now. Have a good weekend, and make sure you're subscribed because the NBA offseason is officially underway, and it's about to get very, very hot on this channel.